Hello and welcome to another edition of the Back Nine Report. Every week, Fred Altvater and I check in on the world of golf to bring you the latest news, insights, analysis, interviews, recaps, previews. Hey, we cover anything and everything golf. In other words, if it happened in golf, we have it for you. Fred, hi, how are you today?
Hey, Carlos, fantastic. Just coming off watching the U.S. Women's Open this week. That was pretty exciting.
It was, and definitely we have a lot to talk about here because there was a teenager winning. I mean, what is going on? I mean, I saw when they said on Saturday night, no third round leader has ever won a US Open at the Olympic Club. I was like, that can't happen. I mean, Lexi Thompson, no, come on. She got this. It's not gonna happen at all. I mean, she had the lead, and even after that front nine, I mean, she was fine. But then came that 41 in the back nine. I was like, what happened, Lexi? I mean, I thought it was her finally winning the US Open. It didn't happen, but it was Yuka Saso, the 19-year-old, and Nasa Hataoka from Japan. If you know, then Yuka Saso is from Vietnam, I mean, from the Philippines, but her father is Japanese. So there was this two Japanese, you can talk about it. But anyway, being a Filipino for Yuka Saso becoming the first one to be either man or female to win a major championship, and she did it in style. It was in a playoff, the third hole, and interestingly enough, I mean, Yuka Saso, if you can and think about it, just a couple of years ago, she was asking for Lexi Thompson's autograph because she had played the AJGA tournament just a couple of weeks the week before. So now from there, she's now winning actually the U.S. Women's Open, beating Lexi Thompson. And one interesting thing is, Fred, uh, you look at this girl and she's phenomenal. I mean, it's only her third tournament here. She has won twice in the Japanese LPGA. But one of the things that she did, and she was obsessed watching Rory McIlroy's swings, and she has definitely either copied it or it looks a lot like when you see that swing. And I think that elite power move that she's doing, just like Rory. And Rory acknowledged it, acknowledged her on Twitter. I mean, they exchange messages and all that, but definitely that's one swing that a lot of people are going to be talking about. And I don't think, Fred, we're going to be done talking about Yuka Saso in the future. 19-year-old, but I think her future is very bright.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. And you know what? Watching it, she seemed like really the only one that was kind of in control of her game. She was very cool, very calm, just played her game, went along. Bigger story, Yuka Saso winning, coming from nowhere, or Lexi Thompson letting this get away. For me, a massive fail for Lexi, and that's the top story for a couple reasons. I can't believe that she kept hitting that driver on the backside. It was just putting her in all kinds of problems. Every hole, she's in the deep rough. She just trying to get something out of there. Her chipping is suspect, and she hit a really poor chip. You could tell that the nerves got to her. Really terrible. I mean, it looked like a 20 handicapper hitting that chip shot. And so it just completely took her out of her game because she's trying to hit that driver and hitting it in the rough all the time. But, I have to tell you, I looked at the stats, and both Nasa Hataoka and Yuka Saso hit less fairways for the week than Lexi did. But Lexi only hit 7 of 14 on Sunday, and I don't think she hardly hit any on the back. Every time I saw her, she's playing out of the rough. It was not a good look for her, but a double and three bogeys on the backside. She didn't birdie either one of the two par fives, 16 or 17. Really came up short on 18 when she had to have a par, to get in the playoff. It didn't work for her. I don't know what the issues were, but this could have been her crowning achievement. She's only won one major. This is her 15th U.S. Open, never won, or U.S. Women's Open, never won one of these things. She's only had one other major title in all these years. She's won 11 times on tour, but she should have 20 wins and four majors. I mean, she's that good. She's that kind of talent. So I don't know. I really thought that this was going to be hers, Carlos, like you. I okay, she's got this. She has a 5-shot lead on 8. I think, okay, it's okay. But I'm going to tell you, Oak Olympic has a history of this, right? We can go back to 1955 when Hogan thought he had it won, and he played so badly in the back that Jack Fleck won it, and Fleck had finished 2 hours before he ends up winning. In 1966, Arnold Palmer had a 7-shot lead with 9 to go. 7 shots with 9 holes to go, and he ends up tying Casper. Ends up tying him. He plays so poorly the back 9. He ties Casper, and Casper wins the playoff by 2 shots the next day. And Palmer had a 2-shot lead after 9 holes in the playoff, and he can't play the back 9 at Olympic Club. And then even in 2012, the last time they held a U.S. Men's Open there, we saw Jim Furyk have a 1-shot lead, and he duck hooks one on 16 on that par 5, makes bogey at the par 5, and he ends up losing, and Webb Simpson wins. So, Olympic it's got a history of doing it. As you say, the 54-hole leader is not safe there. It's a tough golf course, and I really felt watching it. It was really on the edge of being too difficult a golf course for these women to play. And these are fantastic golfers, but that's a really hard golf course. Really, really, really hard. And what was it, 5? I guess there was 6 women at even par or better out of 156. So the USGA got what they want. They got a hard golf course. They had excitement down the stretch. Congratulations to Yuka Saso and also to Nasa Hataoka, who shot a 68 she was 7. Not Hataoka was 7 shots better than Alexi, 5 shots better than Yuka Saso. So she played fantastic on Sunday. Just came up a little bit short in the playoff. So a lot of good stuff there, and I have to admit, I watched a lot more of the U.S. Women's Open than I did the Memorial. I really enjoyed it. I really liked watching it. Congrats to the USGA. They put on a good tournament there. And it's great to see the women playing these great golf courses, but an Olympic Club might be a little bit difficult for the women to play.
I would argue against that because, like only 4 players in the history in the U.S. Open being played there at Olympic shot under par. 5 women did it this time. So it wasn't that bad. I mean, when you come to think about it, 5 women and only 4 men have ever done it throughout the history of the U.S. Open being played there. So I know it's challenging, but I think they held up pretty well. Unfortunately for Lexi Thompson, and I feel for her, man. I mean, that looked like her coronation, and then it was a big collapse. I mean, that 41, that 10-foot par putt on the 72nd hole came up shockingly short. I mean, you can just see how struggling she was. Like you, when she was coming up to the 8th green with that commanding 5-shot lead, I was about to just go, okay, this is over. I'll watch later when she's finally accepting on the acceptance speech. But kudos to Yuka Saso. I mean, when you think about it, she also had back-to-back double bogeys on number 2 and 3. But she came roaring back. You have to give it to her. She really could have been just, okay, I'm out after this two holes, the second and third. Let me just back it up and let Lexi, anyway, she's too far ahead. So good, kudos to her. I mean, that gives you a shot of how her mental toughness is for Yuka Saso. I really want to see more of her. I think she could be one of these bright future stars on the LPGA, and definitely looking forward to see what's going to happen. Now she joins Inbee Park. as the youngest winning the U.S. Women's Open at 19 years, 11 months, and 7 days. Who would knew? I mean, how can you pick, how can you match that specific age,
Number.
right?
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. So,
Yeah.
and Inbee didn't play bad. So, I mean, it was a great tournament. Feeling bad for Lexi. Hopefully, she doesn't take it too hard. I mean, it took her a little while to compose herself, and then she was very graceful with the press after that. But I hope they can have another major under her wing at some point.
Yeah, I want to talk just a minute too about Mega Gane. I really enjoyed. I watched her on. I didn't watch too much on Thursday, but I watched on Friday and Saturday, and she was a lot of fun to watch. Play really high energy. She's got to learn to corral that and temper that a little bit. But I mean, she's young. Well, she's 17 years old, and she's going to be going to Stanford. Oh my goodness, what a team they're going to have! And but she looks like a future star to me, Carlos. I just she seems fearless. Maybe things will change. Her coach has been telling her that she's really great. She's out of New Jersey. Her mother's a doctor. Her father runs an IT company, and they seem to have her on the right track. Really impressed with her. Um, just I kept telling you that we talked about last week. Can an amateur win? Well, no. They just don't know what they don't know, and she was too excited. You could just see it. She was just draining herself on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday with all that high energy. I mean, she's running from the green to the tee box, for goodness sake. When Tiger's in contention, he slows down. He slows everything down. He's the last guy off the tee. He's the last guy down the fairway. You saw Phil doing that exact same thing this year at the PGA Championship. He slowed everything down. Got to calm the breathing. Got to calm everything down. She'll learn this. She's young. She'll figure it out. But she's going to be a real player, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of her.
Most definitely. I mean, she's just 17 years old, so, and like you mentioned, only four amateurs made the cut at the Olympic Club. 30 tee it up. Another one that I was really impressed with is Oklahoma State's Maja Stark. She finished T16, and that is on the heels of a share of T13 at last year's U.S. Women's Open in Houston. So there's somebody to look at. I mean, she played really, really poised. And contrary to Gane, who really on Sunday fell out flat, but Maja was just like steady all the time, and it showed that maturity, not maturity enough to be like the pro players, but definitely showed a lot of confidence and a lot of maturity to me, mental poise on how to approach. And Rachel Heck, who's going to be joined by Gane next year, she just comes. She was the talk of the amateurs because she won the NCAA individual title just last week. She tied for 35th, so that's another player to look for. And Baylor's Gerling Cower finished 66th. So those were the four amateurs to make the cut. But definitely, I think the top three in Gane, Maja Stark and Rachel Heck, I really like how they played and how they finished there. I think there's a good future for all three of them. But man, that Stanford team, it just reminds me of that Duke team when Leona Maguire was there. It was amazing. I just think it's going to be a team. I don't know who's going to beat them if they just live up to the expectations of what
Yeah,
they have right now.
yeah. Should
All
mention
right.
too that Saso is just a third tournament. She's was not tour member. She was offered tour membership. She accepted it. Now she's got a 5-year exemption. Unlike Sophia Popov last year, who won the Open Championship and had to wait a couple of weeks to get her membership. But she's had T6 at the Latte and then come in here and win. Pretty good start to her LPGA Tour career.
Pretty good, and we're going to be seeing a lot more from her definitely, and that's one of the players to watch. Well, thank you for joining us. Always a pleasure to share the latest in the world of golf news and information. So if you want to keep track of that with us, hey, just subscribe to the channel. That's all you have to do, and you'll receive all the notifications immediately as we publish every single video. Also, follow our account in Twitter at Back9 Report with the number 9 in the middle. Thank you for joining us.